Hello everyone, welcome to today's session where we are going to look at the term irony. If we see this statement, irony is a contrast or incongruity between expectations for a situation and what is reality. In other words, it can also be defined as the difference between the surface meaning and underlying meaning of any statement, or it can also be a difference between what might be expected in any situation and what actually occurs. So, as per the definitions and on the basis of these different occurrences, irony has been divided into many types, which we shall be looking at shortly. But before it, let's have a quick look on some of the interesting examples of irony from our daily life. The first one is the name of Britain's biggest dog was Tiny. So, as per the stature of this dog, which is very colossal and big, the expected name is also related to somewhat big or huge. But on the contrary, the name is Tiny, which is ironical. And in the second statement, the irony is very evident, where the speaker is expressing his annoyance over the stiffness of the butter by saying the butter is as soft as a slab of marble. So in this, ironically, the speaker is comparing the stiffness of butter to a slab of marble. The next dialogue is, "Oh great, now you have broken my new camera." Now in this example, considering the gravity of damaging one's new camera, we can assess that the coming statement would be very furious or full of angry words. But here the speaker has chosen this technique irony to give a vent to his anger by saying, "Oh great, now you have broken my new camera." Though here too he is giving a clue to his anger, but in an ironical way. If we see the origin of irony, then it has been taken from this Greek word aron. Aron is actually a character in ancient Greek comedy. And this character Aron acts stupidity in order to deceive and defeat his opponent Alison, who shows off competency and ability. So here we can see that Aaron and Alison both are doing something which they are not. Both are pretending to be something which they are not. Aaron is not stupid and Alison is not capable, but they feigns or they acts to be. So it is this idea of clash or tension between what seems to be and what is, or how things really are, or how they appear. So this tension or this clash is responsible for the origin or for the making of this term irony, and it is also the root of the different kinds of irony. Types of irony, there are totally many types of irony, but these are the major ones: verbal irony, dramatic irony, situational irony. To begin with verbal irony, verbal irony occurs when a speaker's intention is the opposite of what he or she is saying. Or it can be said that when the statement of a speaker intends something else or gives something the meaning, when the statement of the speaker when we see the statement of any speaker, when we listen that statement which has verbal irony, the literal meaning differs from the actual or intended meaning of the speaker, and this is done by the alertness of the speaker, and they judge it very well, as we can see the examples, and here we'll find that how we get to know or we identify, we pinpoint this verbal irony. In the first one example, this is a statement, well, that was pleasant. Now this statement is in the context of when the speaker has visited the dentist, and which was the visit was very painful, and when after the over and after coming from that painful visit, if the speaker is stating this statement that, well, that was pleasant. So here the implied meaning is that the visit was not at all pleasant. So this is the flavor of verbal irony. Next example, I think that in our daily life we come across and we usually speak to, like in response to any foolish idea, if we say, what a great idea, then there is verbal irony. Intended or actual meaning is different from the literal meaning. Literal meaning is great idea, but actually it is a foolish idea. And to understand it more, these are the tactics of verbal irony through which a writer or a speaker employ this. First one is through understatement. This statement, if you see, what a cute little fish. Now this statement is stated in the context when the speaker happens to see a very big white shark, and to respond or to highlight the bigness, or to highlight that how big and uncute the fish is, in that context, speaker downplays this situation, downplays the every feature of that fish. How? What a cute little fish. And here the aimed audience or the implied reader gets to know that this fish is not cute at all and it is not little. Next is overstatement. As the very word is suggestive, overstatement, that in this, through exaggeration, something is made ironical. This statement is, we are rich, and it is spoken in the context when there are two persons who are in dire need of money, and they happen to find a coin on the road, and after getting this penny, one of the persons releases this statement, we are rich, which here the intended meaning is that how ironical the situation, or how ironical the condition is, that they have got this penny when they are in need of money, a good sum of money. And to elaborate it more from literature, I have taken this remarkable speech by Mark Antony. It is from this famous tragic play Julius Caesar by William Shakespeare. And in this famous speech, I would like to read it to you. But Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. Now if you are familiar with the plot line of this tragic play, then in this, after the assassination of Caesar, Antony is delivering speech to the audience, and he, in this statement or throughout the whole speech, he seems to praise or appreciate the Brutus, Brutus, who is one of the killers of his close friend assassin. So will not go in the story. I just want to give this indication that throughout the whole speech he seems to praise, which is the literal meaning. As you can see, Brutus is an honorable man, but up to the end, the reader and audience comes to understand well that Brutus is not at all an honorable man, and he is here for Caesar, and Caesar was not as ambitious as he was considered. So this is such as the power of verbal irony, or irony which makes which serves the purpose of the great writers like Shakespeare. Next is dramatic irony. Dramatic irony occurs when the audience knows a key piece of information that a character in a play, movie, or novel does not. Uh, we can define it as that dramatic irony is a plot device. This plot device is used deliberately and very skillfully by its creators to highlight the difference of understanding a particular situation by the character of the play or any art like play, movie, or novel. So the point is that in order to highlight the difference of understanding by the characters and the audience or readers, understanding of certain situation, this irony is employed by the creators. And very straightforward example of this irony we can take from any horror movie, any scene from the horror movie. Like there is a scene when spectator or audience are aware that there is something or someone is behind the door, but the character who is playing the role or who is the character of that creation, he is totally unaware, he has no clue about it. In that situation, there is a difference between the knowledge of audience and character, and in such a situation audience might seem to shout, don't go in there. So here in this statement we can identify this irony, dramatic irony. If we see the origin of this irony, then it was mostly used in the Greek tragedies, which leads to tragic outcomes. And Othello is one of the heart-rending tragedies by Shakespeare, and where he has very skillfully employed it. And it is also said that dramatic irony played a very significant role in bringing or in taking out the major effects of this tragic play. And if you are familiar with the plot line of this tragedy, then as an audience we very well know or we are aware about Iago, that he is a wicked character, and he is actually plotting against Othello, whereas Othello is considering him as his best friend. But audience has the privilege or extra knowledge of this of the real character of this Iago. So here the character is unaware who is Othello, and audience knows the real face of this villainous character Iago. And there is one more information, and like this there are many information, there are many incidents in which dramatic irony is very masterfully employed. Two of them only I have taken out. Next one is Desdemona. The character Desdemona and has been faithful, and this is very much known, or audience knows it, that she is innocent, she has been faithful to his husband Othello. But Iago is framed, and the knowledge that Desdemona has been framed by Iago, this is the knowledge which only we as an audience or readers know this. So such is the dramatic irony, which create or which brings out effects, different effects. And there are total 3 stages which are considered in as a part of dramatic irony: installation, exploitation, and resolution. And in the special reference of this tragic play Othello, installation occurs when Othello was persuaded by Iago to suspect that Desdemona is having an affair with the man named Cassio. And this situation, after the suspicion, when he planted the seed of suspicion in Othello's mind, after this event, Iago exploited this situation by planting Desdemona's handkerchief, which is actually a gift by Othello, in Cassio's room. And resolution happens, but after Othello has murdered Desdemona, when Emilia, Iago's wife, reveals the wicked scheme of Iago. So such is the construction or framework of dramatic irony, which is very effectively employed by the dramatist or artist. Last is situational irony, and it occurs when the actual result of a situation is totally different from what you would expect the result to be. And it is also called irony of events. Actually, in it we find that the outcome is totally paradoxical and perverse in nature, in lieu of what was being expected. There is an example. The cobbler's children have no shoes. Now, a cobbler is a professional shoemaker, and it is expected that his children would have many shoes, but such is the situation that his children are having no shoes. The next one example is a man leaps out of the road to avoid being hit by a car, only to have a tree branch fall on his head. Now, in this there is a situational irony, because it was totally unexpected for a man, because actually he was escaping from being hurt, but on the contrary he ends up in getting hurt by the branch falling on his head. From literature, I have taken this excerpt from the famous ballad, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner by S.T. Coleridge, and it is one of the quatrains composed by Coleridge. I would like to read out it to you. Water, water everywhere, and all the boats did shrink. Water, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink. So here the situational irony is very evident that besides the presence of water all over or everywhere, there is not a drop of drinkable water. The unavailability of a drop of drinkable water is the ironical situation, which is the example of situational irony. So with this, I am going to wrap up my lecture. Thank you for your attention.